This is Whispers of the Universe. Let the world slow down around you. Tonight, we step gently into the infinite sound of stillness. Take a slow breath and let it fall away. Again, breathe in and let it drift, as if your breath is a feather returning to the air. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is not emptiness. It is the quiet companion of existence. It is the space between the notes that makes music possible, the pause between words that gives meaning to language, the still horizon that holds the rising sun. When you listen closely, silence reveals itself as alive. It is not barren. It holds subtle whispers, the faint pulse of your own heart, the distant hum of the earth turning, the gentle breath of the night around you. In silence, your senses sharpen, colors deepen, shadows lengthen, and even the smallest flicker of thought becomes vivid. You realize that the quiet is not an absence, but a canvas, and every sensation is a brushstroke. The world often fears silence. We fill it with chatter, with endless streams of sound and distraction. But silence is patient. It waits beneath all things. Like the roots beneath a tree, it anchors us, unseen yet essential. When you close your eyes, you step into that patient realm. Notice how the mind begins to slow, how thoughts stretch and soften, like ripples fading across a still pond. Your body responds too, the rhythm of your heart syncing with the hush, the breath finding its natural ease. Silence invites you to listen to yourself, not the voice of duty or the rush of plans, but the deeper voice, the one that whispers in the quiet hours. It tells you what you truly long for, what you carry within, what you are ready to let go. There is a silence in the universe too. Between galaxies, vast spaces extend without sound. Stars are born in that silence. Worlds move quietly, their orbits precise and unbroken, a dance that needs no music to be perfect. Imagine drifting there, in the stillness between stars. No weight, no rush, only the slow turning of galaxies, like spirals of light upon a dark canvas. The silence of space is immense, yet it is not lonely. It is full of presence, a sacred hush that holds everything together. Silence is the womb of creation. Every idea, every poem, every song is born first in quiet. The mind grows still, a spark appears, and from the hush emerges a word, a melody, a vision. Without silence, nothing new could be born. The ancient sages knew this. They sought silence in caves, in deserts, in deep forests, not because they despised the world of sound, but because they knew that in stillness, truth becomes clear. The noise of life dissolves, and what remains is simple, essential, eternal. Tonight, as you rest, you too are invited into that ancient practice, not to flee the world, but to listen beneath it, to hear the unspoken language that has always guided you. Notice the silence between your breaths. Notice the silence and the pause after my words. It is there that you will find yourself. Let the silence cradle you. Let it hold the weariness of your day, like a river absorbing every stone. Let it dissolve your tension, the way night dissolves into dawn. You are safe here, in this endless stillness. The world may spin on, but within You rest in a sacred hush. Stay here, stay in the silence, and let the silence stay in you. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice how the silence feels different now. It is no longer a stranger. It rests against your skin like soft fabric. It flows through your thoughts like a gentle stream. The silence within you and the silence outside of you are not two separate things. They meet and merge like rivers joining into one ocean. Your body breathes, and the silence breathes with you. Sometimes silence feels heavy. It arrives in lonely nights when no one calls, when the house is still, when you hear only the echo of your own heartbeat. At first, it can feel unsettling, like a vast room with no walls. But if you linger, you realize the silence is not empty. It is waiting. It waits for you to fill it with presence, with calm, with the warmth of your being. There are many kinds of silence. There is the silence of a snowy forest, where every branch carries a hush so deep that even your footsteps sound reluctant. There is the silence of dawn, when the air holds its breath before birds awaken. There is the silence between lovers, when words are unnecessary, because every glance already says everything. And there is the silence of the self, the deep stillness at the core of your being. It is older than your thoughts. It existed before your first cry. It will remain even after your final sigh. This silence is who you are beneath all layers, a quiet awareness, vast and untouched. When you touch this inner silence, you discover something extraordinary. You see that thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, yet the silence remains. It is not disturbed by storms of anger, not broken by waves of sorrow, not inflated by joy. It is steady, like the mountain beneath the weather, unchanging, present. This is why silence can heal. It reminds you that you are more than the noise of your mind. You are the space in which thoughts appear and vanish. You are the sky, not the clouds. You are the ocean, not the waves. Consider the silence of the night sky. When you look upward, the stars speak softly, yet what you feel most is the vast quiet. It is as if the universe is whispering, "Here, you are safe. Here, you belong." The silence of the cosmos is immense, yet intimate. It wraps around you like a cloak of eternity. As you rest tonight, allow yourself to sink into that cloak. Release the tension that's in your shoulders. Let your jaw soften. Let your breath fall into its natural rhythm. Each exhale is a surrender, a letting go into silence. Each inhale is a return, a welcoming of stillness. Notice how silence transforms time. A single moment stretches wide, like a horizon without end. In silence, you are not rushing. You are not late. You are not lacking. You are simply here. And here is enough. Think of silence as a gentle teacher. It does not lecture, does not demand, does not rush. It simply shows you what you already carry within: peace, presence, wholeness. The more you listen, the more you realize that silence is not fragile. It is strong. It holds everything: the cries of the newborn, the laughter of the joyful, the grief of the broken. It holds them, and yet it remains untouched. You too can learn from this, to hold your experiences, to let them move through you, but not to be shattered by them. Silence teaches resilience. Silence teaches compassion. Because when you are still enough, you begin to feel the pulse of others. You begin to sense that we are all resting in the same vast quiet. Tonight, let yourself dissolve into that truth. Let silence be the bed on which you sleep, the sky under which you dream, the ground that carries you. There is nothing to do, nothing to prove, nothing to fear, only the infinite sound of stillness, holding you, guiding you, loving you. There is a silence that lives inside every breath. It hides between the inhale and the exhale, a pause so brief we often overlook it. Yet in that tiny pause, an entire universe of calm exists. When you notice it, you find that silence is not rare. It is woven into every rhythm. The ocean breathes silence between waves. The wind breathes silence between gusts. Your own heart breathes silence between beats. Life is not a constant noise. It is a dance between sound and stillness. The song of existence would collapse without the spaces that hold it. Silence is not an interruption. It is the foundation. Think of the silence in music. Every pause makes the melody meaningful. Without rests, there would only be endless noise. The silence allows the note to shine. It is the frame around the painting, the shadow that gives light its depth. In your life, too, silence is needed. Moments without striving, moments without demand, moments when you simply are. It is in these pauses that you feel your true self. It is in these pauses that life whispers its secrets. But the world fears pauses. It rushes forward, always filling, always speaking, always demanding more. We are taught to keep busy, to avoid stillness, as if silence were dangerous. And yet, silence is the doorway to freedom. It opens the space where you can see clearly. It opens the sky where you can breathe without weight. It opens the heart where compassion is born. Close your eyes again now. Imagine yourself sitting beside a vast lake at night. The water is still, a mirror of the moon. No voices, no footsteps, no demands, only the hush of the world holding you. The silence here is not empty. It is alive, a presence that embraces you as though the lake itself were breathing with you. Let yourself sink into that quiet. Let your thoughts drift like fallen leaves upon the still surface. Watch as each thought lands, makes a ripple, and then disappears into calm. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to hold them. Silence will hold them for you. Notice what happens when you stop resisting. The silence grows larger, wider, until it feels as if the whole night sky has moved inside your chest. You are not just in silence, you are silence. This silence is not fragile. It is strong enough to carry all of you, your weariness, your grief, your dreams. Like the earth carrying mountains, like the sea carrying storms, silence carries everything without breaking. When you remember this, you no longer fear being alone, for in solitude, you are never empty. You are full of the quiet strength that has always lived within you. The silence is not outside waiting for you. It has always been here, inside, patient, eternal. Consider how the universe began. Before the first light, Before the first star ignited, there was silence. And out of that silence came everything: galaxies, suns, rivers, forests, your own breath. Silence is the origin of all. And one day, when the stars fade, the silence will remain, infinite and whole. So when you feel lost, when the world becomes too loud, remember to return. Return to the pause in your breath. Return to the hush between thoughts. Return to the silence that is never gone. Here, nothing is demanded of you. Here, you are not judged. Here, you simply are, as vast as the night, as still as the stars, as eternal as silence itself. Stay in this stillness. Let it guide you deeper. Let it remind you of your essence. Let it cradle you tonight as you drift toward sleep. And know that silence will remain with you, a gentle companion, until the dawn. Silence is a language older than words. It was here before the first syllable was spoken, before the first story was told, before the first song was sung. When you sit in silence, you begin to remember this ancient language. It does not use grammar. It does not need translation. It speaks directly to the heart. It tells you you belong. It tells you you are enough. It tells you you are never alone. Think of the silence of a candlelit room. The flame flickers softly. Shadows dance on the walls. And in that hush, you feel protected, as if time itself has paused to hold you. Silence here is tender. It is a friend who asks nothing, yet gives everything. There is also the silence of mountains. High peaks covered in snow, air so pure it feels sacred, a hush so vast it humbles every thought. When you stand there, you realize how small your worries are, how fleeting your noise is. The silence of mountains is not fragile. It is ancient, enduring, a reminder that life continues beyond your personal storms. Silence takes many forms, yet at its core it is always the same, a vastness that holds all things. The silence after laughter, when joy has spilled and only warmth remains. The silence after grief, when tears have fallen and only love remains. The silence of prayer, when the soul bows not to be heard, but to listen. In silence, the boundaries soften. The line between you and the world blurs. You no longer feel like a separate fragment. You begin to sense yourself as part of something larger, a quiet field of being that connects all. Notice how silence allows truth to rise. When the noise stops, you can finally hear what matters. The false voices fade. The endless chatter loses strength. And from the quiet, a deeper wisdom emerges. Sometimes it arrives as a gentle intuition. Sometimes as a calm knowing. Sometimes simply as peace. This is why silence is not emptiness. It is fullness. It holds answers you cannot think into existence. It holds healing you cannot force. It holds peace you cannot manufacture. Silence gives them freely once you allow yourself to rest in it. Imagine lying in a meadow at night. Above you, countless stars glow. Around you, the earth breathes. No machines, no clocks, no urgency. Only the steady heartbeat of existence. Here, silence is not heavy. It is luminous. It glows like starlight, soft yet infinite. Let yourself lie there in your mind. Feel the grass beneath you, cool and gentle. Feel the vast sky stretching endlessly. You are held not by walls, but by the quiet arms of the universe itself. Notice what happens inside your chest. The breath slows, the muscles soften, the heart rests. It is as if silence has entered you, become your own inner rhythm. You are not listening to silence, you are breathing it. The more you breathe silence, the more you discover who you truly are, not the roles you play, not the stories you repeat, but the vast awareness beneath them all. Silence is the mirror that reveals your essence. Stay with this mirror for a while. Notice the stillness in your hands. Notice the calm in your thoughts. Notice the openness in your heart. Every part of you is softened by silence, as if you are being rewritten in gentleness. The world outside may roar with demands, but here in this moment, nothing is required. No performance, no proving, only being. And in being, you are whole. And in silence, you are free. Let this truth settle into you like dew upon morning grass. Let it stay as you drift toward sleep. Let it remain even when dreams carry you away. For silence is not bound by waking or dreaming. It is present in both. It is the quiet ground beneath every state of mind. So tonight, let yourself return again and again to that ground. Return to the hush in your breath. Return to the pause in your heart. Return to the infinite silence that has always been waiting for you. Here you are safe. Here you are whole. Here you are silence itself. There is a silence that follows every ending. When a song finishes, when a storm passes, when a day comes to rest, silence remains. This silence is not loss. It is renewal. It is the fertile ground where something new can begin. Think of the silence after rain. The air is fresh, the earth glistens, and every leaf holds a drop like a jewel. In that hush, life prepares to bloom again. Silence is the breath the world takes before whispering its next word. You have known this silence too. The pause after a deep sigh, the stillness after tears, the quiet after laughter has faded. These moments are not empty. They are sacred. They are the soft hands of silence, lifting you gently, telling you, rest now, you are carried. Sometimes silence feels heavy because it holds what we cannot say. The unsent letter, the unspoken apology, the longing that has no words. Yet even this silence is not cruel. It keeps safe the things we are not ready to release. It holds them tenderly until the moment comes when we can. Silence is not only an end, it is a companion on the way. It walks beside you in crowded streets when you turn inward. It rests with you in lonely nights when no voice calls. It whispers in your dreams, reminding you that beneath the noise of thought, you are whole. Imagine walking into a great library at night. The shelves stretch high, filled with countless stories, yet all is still. You feel the hush of wisdom waiting, every book like a silent heart ready to open. This is what silence is like, a vast library of presence, holding more than words can say. Let yourself sit in that library. Breathe in the quiet. Notice how your mind slows, how the noise of your day loosens its grip. In silence, you are not required to know. You are allowed simply to listen, and listening is enough. Notice, too, how silence changes your relationship with time. In noise, minutes fly by unnoticed. In silence, a single moment stretches wide, becoming an eternity. It is not that time has stopped, it is that you have entered into its depth. Silence opens the vertical dimension of time, not the rushing line of past to future, but the eternal now, the infinite presence. This is why silence can heal so deeply, because it takes you out of the storm of hours and places you in the calm sea of being. Here, wounds soften. Here, burdens lighten. Here, the heart breathes freely again. Close your eyes. Picture yourself in a desert at dawn. The sand is cool, the horizon endless, and the world is still waiting for its first sound. In that vast hush, you feel the presence of eternity, not as something distant, but as something already within you. Stay in that desert for a while. Feel the silence wrap around you like a shawl. Notice how your body releases its weight. Notice how your mind no longer chases. Notice how your heart simply rests. This is the gift silence offers, a home you can always return to, a place beyond demand and fear, a ground beneath every step, a sky above every breath. You may forget it during the noise of the day. You may lose it in the rush of life, but silence never loses you. It waits, patient, like the stars behind clouds, like the moon behind daylight, always present, always near. So tonight, let silence take you in its arms. Let it gather your scattered thoughts. Let it soothe your tired muscles. Let it remind you of the truth that you are more than noise, more than worry, more than striving. You are presence itself, and presence is silent. Fall into that silence now. Rest there, breathe there, sleep there, and know that even as dreams carry you, the silence will not leave. It will remain a quiet companion, holding you through the night, guiding you toward dawn. Silence does not always arrive gently. Sometimes it comes like a sudden storm breaking into your day, like the electricity going out, like the world holding its breath all at once. In those moments, silence feels sharp, unfamiliar, almost overwhelming. Yet even this kind of silence has its gift. It pulls you out of the ordinary stream of noise and places you in direct contact with reality. It strips away distraction. It shows you the rawness of existence. And when the first unease softens, you realize it is not emptiness, it is clarity. Consider the silence in a temple, the moment you step inside, where every footstep echoes, where every whisper feels too loud. At first you resist, filling the stillness with your own inner chatter. But slowly, you realize the silence is stronger. It seeps into you, into your breath, into your thoughts, until you too fall quiet. And in that quiet, something sacred appears. Silence is not just the background of life. It is the teacher. It asks nothing, but it changes everything. It asks you to stop running, to stop reaching, to stop proving. It asks you to simply be. And being is the most difficult, yet the most natural act of all. For we are trained to do, to achieve, to fill, to measure. But silence reminds us. The tree does not rush to grow. The river does not force itself to flow. The stars do not strain to shine. They simply are, and that is enough. When you sit in silence long enough, You begin to feel this truth in your bones. You begin to sense that you too do not need to strive so hard. You too can rest in your being. And in that resting, life itself flows through you. Think of silence as the soil. It looks still, yet beneath it, roots are spreading, seeds are breaking open, new life is forming. From the outside, nothing moves, but within, everything changes. So it is with your soul. Silence is where your inner life grows. Silence is where unseen transformations begin. Imagine yourself sitting in a forest at dusk. Birdsong has quieted. The last light filters through branches, and slowly the hush deepens. You can hear your own breath, your own heartbeat, and beneath them both, a stillness that is not yours alone, but belongs to the earth itself. Stay in that forest for a while. Notice the sound of leaves settling, the faint rustle of a distant breeze. Yet beyond these, there is a greater quiet, one that holds every small sound without being broken by them. This is the nature of silence. It does not deny sound. It embraces it, holds it, gives it space to exist. When you realize this, you see that silence is not the opposite of sound. It is its partner. They dance together, like shadow and light, like day and night. Without silence, a sound has no meaning. Without sound, silence has no texture. Together, they weave the music of existence. Your own life is the same. The noise of your days and the hush of your nights are not enemies. They complete each other. One teaches you to move, the other teaches you to rest, and both are necessary. Tonight, lean into the one you often forget. Lean into the silence. Let it cover you like soft earth. Let it sink into your chest like a deep rhythm. Let it remind you that nothing more is required. You are already whole. You are already home. Stay here now. Stay in the hush that asks nothing. Stay in the presence that demands nothing. Stay in the silence that gives everything. And as sleep comes, know that the silence will not fade. It will follow you into your dreams. It will guide you through the night. It will wait for you at dawn. The same, unchanged, infinite. There is a silence that belongs to the stars. When you gaze upward on a clear night, the vast dome above you speaks without words. Its silence is not empty. It is thick with presence, heavy with mystery, alive with questions that have no end. This cosmic silence is different from the hush of a room, different from the pause in your breath. It is ancient. It stretches across distances your mind cannot measure. It has witnessed the birth and death of suns, the drifting of galaxies, the endless spiral of time itself. And yet, when you stand beneath it, you feel something intimate. The silence of the stars does not keep you out. It welcomes you in. It whispers, "You are part of this too." Your heartbeat is as real as the turning of the planets. Your breath is as present as the glow of starlight. Your existence belongs to this vast quiet. Let yourself imagine floating among the stars. No ground beneath you, no horizon around you, only the dark velvet of space. Each star burns in silence. Each light travels across centuries to reach your eyes. There is no noise in this endless expanse, and yet you are not alone. The silence itself is company. It is communion. It is presence. Stay in that vision for a while. Notice how your mind softens. Notice how your worries seem small, how your thoughts slow down, like comets drifting into long arcs. The silence of the cosmos is so immense that it absorbs your noise, leaving only stillness. And in that stillness, you feel whole again. Silence is not something you create, it is something you enter. It is always there beneath the surface of life. Like the night sky beyond daylight, like the stars behind clouds, it waits. It asks nothing of you, it simply holds. In the human world, we often mistake noise for living. We chase after sound, after movement, after endless activity. We fill our days until they overflow. And yet, what nourishes us is not constant doing, but the quiet ground beneath it all. Silence is where life breathes freely. Think of the silence in a field before dawn. Mist clings to the earth. The grass is damp with dew. The animals have not yet stirred. It is not absence you feel, it is potential. The silence is pregnant with beginning, like a page before a story, like a canvas before the first stroke of paint. It holds everything, waiting. So too with your own silence. Within you, beneath every thought, there is a still ground of being. It waits for you to notice. It waits for you to stop. It waits for you to remember that you are not the noise in your head. You are the silence beneath it. Close your eyes now. Breathe slowly. Feel the pause at the end of your breath. Do not rush past it. Stay there. That pause is not empty. It is the doorway. Through it, you enter a deeper space. Through it, you touch the silence that holds you. The more you visit this space, the more familiar it becomes. The fear of silence fades. The discomfort dissolves. What remains is peace. What remains is freedom. Silence frees you from needing to control. Silence frees you from needing to fix. Silence frees you from needing to prove. In silence, there is nothing to earn. In silence, there is nothing to lose. There is only presence, and presence is enough. Imagine now that you are lying on your back in an open meadow at midnight. The stars above are endless. The earth beneath is steady. The air is cool and clear. You do not move. You do not speak. You simply rest. And in that rest, you discover that silence is not outside you. It is flowing through your breath, circling through your veins, shining through your very awareness. You are not surrounded by silence. You are silence. Stay in that truth as long as you can. Let it seep into your bones. Let it soften every thought. Let it guide you into the night. And when sleep comes, know that it is simply another form of silence, a deeper hush, a softer darkness, an infinite stillness that carries you until the morning light. Close your eyes and picture a city at night, long after the storefronts have dimmed and the crowds have dissolved into hallways of sleep. Some windows still glow like small constellations. Far off, a train pulls a silver thread across the dark. Between those distant sounds, there is a hush. Not the hush of absence, but the hush of attention. Silence gathers in doorways, pools under bridges, drifts above rooftops like a light fog. If you listen carefully, the city is teaching you a secret. Even where life is loudest, there are pockets of stillness where the heart can sit down and take off its heavy coat. Silence is a threshold more than a destination. You cross it again and again, often without noticing. the moment before you answer a question, the breath after you admit the truth, the instant when a memory stands up from the chair and walks toward the door. These thresholds are small, but they decide the shape of your days. They are the soft hinges on which the unseen turns. Notice how your attention behaves when you step onto this threshold. It unhooks itself from urgency. It loosens the grip on what ifs and what then. It becomes simple, like a hand resting on the bark of a tree. Attention without strain is another name for silence. It is the quality of presence that does not chase, does not clutch, does not demand. It lets the world be as it is, while you breathe beside it. Imagine a craftsman at a workbench, wood shavings curled like moons, tools arranged with quiet respect. Every few cuts, the craftsman pauses, not to stop working, but to listen to the material. Is the grain speaking? Is the edge true? The pause is not empty. It is the moment where accuracy and care are born. So it is with your life. Without pauses, your efforts fray. Without silence, intention forgets its shape. You do not lose power in the stillness. You gain alignment. There is a silence inside forgiveness. It is not the silence of surrender or defeat. It is the silence that arrives when you put down the weapon of being right and the air around you becomes breathable again. Arguments have their own weather, gusts, lightning, the pressure drop before a storm. Forgiveness changes the weather. It opens a window. The room fills with a float of dust and daylight. You can see again. You can breathe again. This clarity does not erase the past, but it dissolves the hard crust around it. From within that quiet, you notice what is still tender, still worth tending. There is a silence inside grief, not the first thunder of loss, not the wave that knocks you under, but the long, slow tide that follows. It is the hush of the chair that is no longer pulled out, the extra cup that remains on the shelf, the way your hand remembers a door that will not open again. This silence is an honest house. It does not flatter or distract. It asks you to sit, to hold the absence, to learn the weight of it until the weight learns to carry you. Paradoxically, this is how love continues, through the quiet attention that refuses to let what mattered become noise. There is a silence inside trust. It is the pause where you lend back into a presence you cannot control, another person, a path, a future that has not yet stepped over the ridge. Trust does not make noise about itself. It does not clap or broadcast or count its victories. It simply holds out its hands and allows the crossing. In that quiet, anxiety has less to grip. In that quiet, you can feel the floor again. Consider the silence of a shoreline at low tide. The waves are far off. The sand is a ledger of delicate scripts, bird tracks, the lace of retreating foam. Everything speaks softly here. The air smells of salt and beginnings. If you kneel and touch the wet line where water once lay, you are touching a map of rhythms older than cities, older than names. The sea writes and erases, writes and erases. Silence is the part of the tide that understands both gestures. When you hold silence this way, your choices change. You take fewer steps, but each one lands where it matters. You use fewer words, and they arrive like clean water. You set fewer goals, and the ones you keep are shaped like doors, not walls. What you stop doing becomes as important as what you start. You learn the grammar of restraint, the comma that saves a sentence, the line break that gives breath to a stanza, the hush that turns a confession into a bridge. Let's practice gently. Sit as you are, wherever you are. Let your shoulders drop an inch. Let your jaw unlock. Let your breath lengthen by the width of a word. And now, listen for the furthest sound you can hear. A distant car, a night bird, the soft electricity of the room. Hold that sound like a pebble in your palm. Now listen for the nearest sound, the hush of your breath, the pulse in your ear, the whisper of fabric against your skin. Hold that sound like a pebble in your other palm. Notice what holds both pebbles. Notice the wide, quiet hand beneath your hearing. That hand is silence. Attention is not a net, it is a light. When you aim it gently at something, a memory, a hope, a fear, the edges soften, the center warms, and the thing becomes more itself. Noise tries to dominate by flooding the field. Silence collaborates by illuminating the exact place that needs care. If you want to find your life again, shine your attention gently, persistently, without the glare of judgment. What resists at first will learn to trust the warmth. There's a silence in beginnings that resembles the silence in endings. Both are full of thresholds. Both are full of questions. At the start, the quiet is an open page. At the end, the quiet is a closed book resting in the hand. In both cases, the hand remains. In both cases, the breath remains. You are the continuity, the hush between chapters, the steady reader of your own days. Imagine a garden at the edge of a forest. A path of flat stones leads you in. No signs, no instructions, only the sense that everything has been placed with care. When the wind moves, the leaves answer in vowels. When the wind rests, the whole garden inhales the pause. You wander without hurry. You stand before a small pool. The surface holds the sky without strain. When a leaf falls, the pool becomes a sentence. Ripple, ripple, still. Your mind learns the same sentence. Your thoughts fall in, ripple, ripple, still. In the world of screens and sirens, silence can feel like disobedience. Everyone is speaking, everything is flashing, the stream never empties. But remember, rivers flood when banks collapse. The bank is form, the bank is boundary, the bank is silence. If you want your days to carry meaning rather than mud, you will need banks. You will need the grace of not now, the kindness of no, the bravery of closing the door so that your life can have a room. Silence is not saintly aloofness. It does not require robes or desserts or withdrawal from love. It does not ask you to hide from the world. It asks you to arrive in it. Noise is often a way of leaving the body, the conversation, the present. Silence is a way of entering the breath, the gaze, the exact moment where your hands are. If you have ever listened so well that a friend's shoulders dropped, you have practiced the sacrament of silence. If you have ever eaten an orange so slowly that sunlight seemed to collect inside the peel, you have known its liturgy. There is a silence that belongs to animals. Watch a cat in a window, the way it coalesces into stillness, as if stillness were its native weather. Watch a deer at the tree line, carved from alertness and air. Watch a hawk on a fence post, all sound draining into its single burning gaze. They are not performing silence, they are made of it. From them, you learn that silence is not a pose but a metabolism. It is how presence digests the world. There is a silence that belongs to children. A child absorbed in drawing is an island of attention. Crayons scattered like tiny banners, tongue held between small teeth, the world falling away until only the line remains. This is not the silence of obedience, but of absorption. To recover it is to recover the ability to be occupied by one thing at a time, the way night is occupied by stars. Sometimes silence asks for a symbolic act, a cup of tea without a screen, a short walk without headphones, a single candle lit after the house goes dim. Rituals are doors disguised as gestures. The point is not a rule, but a turning. You turn toward the quiet by doing one thing with love. As you move toward sleep, let your room become a harbor of this turning. Dim the lamp by one breath. Arrange the blanket as if you were tucking in a small and tender guest, because you are. Lay one hand on your chest, another on your belly, and let the rhythm find you. When thoughts come, do not swat them. Let them land like moths on a screen. They will rest, tremble their wings, and eventually fly off into the night. You are the screen. You are also the night. Remember the city from the beginning, the bridges, the rooftops, the electric thread of the late train. Its quiet was not the absence of life, but the form that allowed life to be seen. Your quiet is the same. It is the form that allows your life to be yours. It is the cadence that makes your day rhythmic rather than relentless. It is the compass that points you back to the undivided center. Stay a little longer. Stay in the soft grammar of breath. Stay where endings and beginnings touch, like two shores held by the same water. Let your heartbeat become a small bell. Let each exhale be the answer to a question you no longer need to ask. Let the bed become a raft. Let the dark become a river. Let the ceiling become a sky. Float, listen, be. Eventually, sleep will come the way fog comes to fields, quietly, inevitability, wearing slippers. There will be no announcements. There will only be the sensation that something vast and kind has placed its palm over the crown of your head and said, "Rest." When that touch arrives, do not salute it. Do not analyze it. Let yourself be carried. And if you wake in the middle hours, caught on a snag of thought, do not curse the interruption. Return to the thresholds. Feel the pause at the top of your inhale. Feel the pause at the bottom of your exhale. 2 doors, 1 room. Step through again. The quiet you entered before is still here. Silence does not move away when you forget it. It stays, like a lamp that knows where the switch is, even in the dark. You are almost across now, from the noise of the day into the meadow of the night. Carry nothing you do not need. Set down the armor of answers. Set down the helmet of hurry. Set down the heavy belt of being right. Walk with the simple weight of your breath, the gentle calendar of your pulse. When you lie down as if the earth herself were the mattress, as if the sky were the blanket, as if the word you were making with your body were the oldest word in the world, here. And in this here, which is also now, which is also home, let the silence finish its sentence. It is not telling you to vanish. It is inviting you to arrive. It is not telling you to become small, it is showing you how vast you already are. Beneath sound, beneath thought, beneath every story, the quiet has been waiting with its open hand. Take it. Close your eyes. Let the city dim into stars. Let the stars dim into breath. Let the breath dim into sleep. And let the sleep carry you like a river, returning to the sea of itself, wordless, weightless, whole. Silence is not always found in grand landscapes or distant skies. Sometimes it lives in the smallest corners, waiting quietly for you to notice. It lives in the space between two people when words are unnecessary. It lives in the steam raising from a cup of tea. It lives in the soft pause before you close your eyes at night. The mind often overlooks these tiny silences, searching instead for dramatic quiet. Mountains, oceans, monasteries. But the truth is simpler. Silence is woven into the ordinary, hidden in plain sight, ready to hold you whenever you pause long enough to feel it. Think of the silence that happens when you open a letter. Before you read the words, there is a breathless hush. Anything could be written inside. In that pause, possibility stretches wide. Silence is always like this. A wide door waiting to be opened, a blank page waiting for the first mark. Think of the silence of a morning kitchen, the window light just beginning to spill, the kettle beginning to hum but not yet sing, the table waiting for the day to arrive. This silence is not dramatic. It is simple, but in its simplicity, you find rest. You discover that not all silence needs to overwhelm. Some silence simply holds. Consider the silence of touch. When someone takes your hand and says nothing, when a child leans against you and drifts into sleep, when an embrace is long enough that words would only diminish it, these are holy silences. They are not about the absence of speech. They are about the fullness of presence. Silence deepens presence. When you stop filling every space with words, you begin to feel more. You begin to notice the subtle shifts of expression, the soft textures of air, the quiet pulse of life itself. Noise distracts, silence reveals. Noise covers, silence uncovers. Noise scatters, silence gathers. Imagine sitting by a river at twilight. The water moves steadily, but the banks hold still. The trees lean close, their leaves brushing in whispers. In that hush, you realize that silence does not mean motion has stopped. Silence means you have stopped resisting the motion. You have become part of it. This is why silence heals. Because in silence, you are not fighting. You are not rushing. You are not comparing. You are simply here. And here is where wholeness lives. Sometimes silence arrives as solitude. At first it feels like absence. The phone doesn't ring. The room doesn't echo with another's voice. But if you stay long enough, you begin to notice something else. The solitude is full. It is not empty of others. It is full of you. It is the space where you meet yourself. It is the quiet where you remember what you love, what you fear, what you hope for, what you already are. Other times, silence arrives in companionship. Two people sitting side by side, saying nothing, watching the same horizon. In that quiet, connection deepens. Because love does not always need words. Sometimes it only needs presence. Sometimes The silence between two hearts speaks more clearly than any language ever could. Notice now the silence in your own body. The steady hum of breath is there. Yes, the quiet beat of your heart. But beneath those sounds, there is something even stiller. A silence that has been with you since birth. A silence that will remain until the last breath. It is the ground of you, the space in which every moment arises and fades. Stay with that ground for a while. Let it rise into awareness. Let it soften your edges. Let it remind you that no matter the storms that come, this silence is untouched. It is not harmed by fear. It is not broken by sorrow. It is not even amplified by joy. It simply holds, steady and vast. Imagine the silence at the bottom of the sea. Above, waves roar and crash, storms whip and thunder. But deep below, the water rests in quiet darkness. Creatures move slowly, light barely reaches. The silence here is not absence, but depth. It is the weight that steadies the ocean. It is the anchor of calm beneath the chaos. Your own silence is like this. No matter what storms churn above, deep within, stillness remains. This is what meditation is, not creating silence, but sinking into the silence already there, not chasing away thoughts, but noticing the space in which they appear. Every time you pause, every time you notice, you return home. Tonight, let yourself fall into this home. Feel the hush at the edges of your breath. Feel the soft pause in your chest. Feel the quiet spreading through your muscles, through your bones, through the very air around you. The room is quiet not because there is no sound, but because silence is holding it all. Sleep will come, but even before it arrives, you are already resting. You are resting in the infinite sound of stillness, the silence that never leaves, the silence that is not outside you, but is you. Stay here now. Stay in the hush. Stay in the presence. Stay in the silence. Silence has a way of arriving when you least expect it. You might be walking through a crowded market, voices tumbling like waves, bells and engines filling the air, and suddenly, there it is. A stillness, not because the noise has stopped, but because something within you has stepped aside. You are present, you are listening, and in that presence, a silence reveals itself. This shows that silence is not dependent on the world. It is not a fragile bubble that bursts when sound intrudes. It is a quality of awareness, a way of meeting life. You can be surrounded by clamor and still rest in quiet. You can sit in solitude and still feel restless. What makes the difference is not the absence of sound, but the openness of attention. Silence is openness. It is the space that welcomes everything without judgment. Birdsong enters, and silence holds it. Laughter enters, and silence holds it. Grief enters, and silence holds it too. There is no resistance, no rejection, only room. Silence is the great room of being, and all your experiences are guests. Imagine stepping into a vast cathedral. The ceilings arch above, the light filters through colored glass, and even the smallest sound echoes for seconds. This echo is not disturbance, it is revelation. The silence of the cathedral is not broken by sound. It amplifies it, honors it, carries it further. In the same way, the silence within you amplifies life. It lets everything be heard more clearly, felt more deeply. Without silence, experience is shallow. With silence, experience is profound. Consider the silence of waiting, the hush in a theater before the curtain rises, the stillness of a garden before a bud opens, the quiet of your own heart before you make a choice that will change your path. Waiting can feel heavy, but it is also sacred. It is the silence of possibility, the breath the universe takes before it speaks. This waiting is woven into your life. Every night before sleep, you wait in silence. Every morning before rising, you linger in that hush. Every time you pause before speaking, silence is there. It is not wasted time. It is gestation. It is preparation. It is the unseen work that allows the visible to bloom. Think of silence as the soil of love. Words matter, gestures matter, but without silence, love cannot take root. It is in silence that you truly listen. It is in silence that you truly see. It is in silence that you feel the presence of another without the need to perform. Love grows not only in the bright sun of expression, but in the deep ground of silence. Imagine sitting beside someone you trust completely. No need for conversation, no need for explanation. The hush between you is alive with safety. The silence itself becomes language. Every breath says, I am here. You are here. That is enough. Silence is also the ground of creativity. Artists know this. Musicians listen to silence as much as they listen to sound. Painters step back into silence before adding the next stroke. Writers pause in silence before the right word emerges. Creation is born from stillness. The silence is the womb, and every act of making is its child. You too are an artist of your life. Every choice you make, every step you take, is a brushstroke on the canvas of your days. Without silence, the painting is chaotic, overcrowded. With silence, the painting breathes, has depth, has meaning. Notice now the silence in your own breath. Each inhale rises like a wave. Each exhale falls like a tide. And between them, there is a pause. That pause is silence. It is not empty. It is the meeting place between life entering and life leaving. It is the reminder that every moment is both arrival and departure. Stay with that pause. Feel it not as absence, but as presence. Let it widen. Let it hold you. That pause is the same silence that holds stars in their orbits, that holds galaxies in their spirals, that holds you in this very moment. Silence is the thread that runs through everything. It is the hidden melody beneath the noise of existence. It is the quiet pulse of the universe, steady and eternal. When you trust silence, you no longer fear emptiness. You see that emptiness is not void, but space, space to rest, space to grow, space to be. So tonight, let silence be your bed. Lie down in its wide embrace. Let it hold your weariness like a river holding stones. Let it cradle your thoughts until they dissolve. Let it carry you gently into sleep. And remember, even when dreams rise and fall, even when tomorrow arrives with its noise, silence will remain. It is not fragile. It is not fleeting. It is infinite. It is you. Stay here. Stay in silence. Stay until the night turns to dawn, and know that silence walks with you, always, everywhere, forever. There is a silence that gathers at the edges of the day. Just before dawn, when the world is still wrapped in shadow, silence leans close, holding its breath. And again at dusk, when the sky melts into soft colors, silence lingers, not as absence but as blessing. These two thresholds, the morning hush and the evening hush, are doorways. Step through them with awareness, and you enter the timeless. Dawn silence is full of promise. The world has not yet begun its chatter, and so everything feels possible. You can sense the readiness in the air, like a page before the first line is written. This silence carries the energy of beginnings, the hush before the overture, the breath before the first word. When you rise early enough to meet it, your own spirit begins to synchronize with that rhythm of renewal. Dusk. Silence is different. It is not about beginnings, but about endings. It carries a softness, a gentleness, a letting go. It says, enough has been done, enough has been said, now it is time to rest. This silence is tender. It draws you inward, reminding you that you are allowed to stop, to fold the day away, to trust the night to hold you. Both silences are sacred. They mirror each other like two wings of the same bird. One lifts you into life, the other carries you into rest. And together, they remind you that silence is not a break in life. It is the essence of its rhythm. Think of silence as breath. Inhale is sound, exhale is silence, and life is the dance between them. Without silence, the breath is strained. With silence, the breath flows freely, nourishing every cell. Now imagine yourself walking at dawn. The streets are empty, the air cool, the sky beginning to blush with light. Your footsteps echo, but around them spreads an immense quiet. That quiet is not empty. It is alive. It hums with the anticipation of day, and yet it holds you gently as if saying, take your time. There is no rush here. You belong to the pace of silence. Or picture yourself at dusk, sitting by a window. The sky glows orange, then deepens into violet. The day exhales its final breath. In that moment, silence seeps into you. Your body loosens, your mind softens. You feel as though the very air is carrying you toward rest, and in that surrender, you find peace. Silence at the thresholds of day is not simply quiet outside. It is quiet inside. It is the pause in which you return to yourself. You remember that you are not only what you do, you are not only what you say, you are also the vast presence beneath all doing and saying. That presence is silence. Consider now the silence of memory. When you recall someone you have lost, often what you feel most is not their words, but the hush around them, the way the room felt when they entered, the way a pause in conversation was shared without discomfort. The silence of memory is not absence. It is continuation. It is the space where love still lingers, soft and unbroken. Silence teaches you that what is most essential is not always loud. The most profound truths are often spoken in whispers. The deepest love is felt in the quiet moments. The most powerful transformations happen in stillness, unseen. Think of seeds resting underground. Through the long winter, nothing seems to move. Yet in that silence, roots extend, life stirs, growth prepares itself. Without silence, there would be no spring. Without stillness, there would be no flowering. So too with your own life. The seasons of quiet are not wasted. They are the hidden work of the soul. They are the times when the unseen prepares to become visible. Trust them, honor them. Let silence do its work in you. Close your eyes now. Feel the silence in your own body. Feel it in the pause between breaths. Feel it in the stillness behind your thoughts. Feel it in the gentle beating of your heart. This silence is not something you must create. It is already here. It has always been here. It will always be here. The mind may wander. The world may shout. But silence waits patiently, like the stars behind daylight, like the moon behind clouds. It does not disappear. It does not diminish. It simply waits for you to notice. Tonight, notice. Let the silence rise around you like a tide. Let it carry your worries away. Let it hold your body in its vast embrace. Let it remind you that you are more than your noise, more than your striving, more than your fear. You are part of this silence. You are made of it. You are it. Stay in that truth. Stay in the hush that holds everything. Stay until sleep comes, as softly as dusk, as gently as dawn, as eternal as silence itself. There is a silence that arrives not from the outside, but from deep within. It does not depend on the world being quiet. It does not depend on circumstances calming down. It comes when you turn your attention inward, when you finally stop searching outward for what has been here all along. This inner silence is subtle at first. It feels like the faint glow before sunrise, or the soft hush before snowfall. You may almost miss it because the mind is used to chasing bigger things. But if you stay long enough, if you listen closely, the silence deepens. It spreads like ink in water, filling the space of awareness until you realize you are no longer looking for silence. You are resting in it. This silence has no boundaries. It is not limited by walls, by clocks, by places. It is as vast as the sky, as steady as the earth, as endless as time. And yet, it is closer to you than your own heartbeat. It is not something you visit. It is something you are. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast canyon. The walls stretch out in layers of stone, carved by centuries of wind and river. At first, you hear the echo of your own breath, the faint cry of a bird, the whisper of breeze. But then you notice the deeper silence, the silence of the canyon itself. It does not come and go. It does not change with sound. It is the background, eternal, holding everything that passes through it. This is the same silence that lives within you. You often forget it because of the noise of thought, the endless stream of planning, remembering, judging, comparing. But beneath it all, the silence is untouched. Like the deep ocean beneath waves, it is always calm. Like the mountain beneath clouds, it is always steady. Thoughts come and go, but silence remains. Consider the silence of trust. When you truly trust life, when you stop fighting every moment, silence grows. You no longer argue with reality. You no longer wrestle with time. You begin to rest in what is, and in that resting, the inner hush blossoms. Trust and silence are twins. One cannot exist without the other. Now close your eyes and feel the silence in your breath. Each inhale rises, each exhale falls, and between them lies a doorway. Step through that doorway. Stay in that pause. Notice how time stretches. Notice how the mind loosens. Notice how the heart softens. This is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the fullness of presence, the fullness of being. Inner silence is the place where healing happens. Not because it fixes you, but because it shows you that you are not broken. Not because it removes your wounds, but because it holds them gently, without judgment. Silence does not demand you to be different. It allows you to be exactly as you are, and in that allowance, transformation begins. Think of silence as a mirror. It reflects everything without distortion. Joy appears, and silence reflects it. Sorrow appears, and silence reflects it. Fear appears, and silence reflects it too. Nothing is rejected, nothing is clung to, everything is seen, everything is allowed. And in that reflection, you realize that you are more than what passes through. You are the mirror itself. You are the silence. Imagine lying on the forest floor at night. The canopy of leaves arches above, stars flickering between branches. Around you, small creatures move, the wind stirs, the earth breathes. But beneath it all, there is a deeper quiet. You feel it holding you, wrapping around you like a blanket woven of eternity. It does not ask anything of you, it simply welcomes you home. The inner silence is always here. You cannot lose it, because it is what you are. You can forget it, you can cover it with noise, but you cannot destroy it. And every time you pause, every time you breathe, every time you listen, you remember again. This remembering is the heart of peace. Peace is not something you build or chase. It is something you notice, something you return to. It is already here, resting beneath the noise of the world, waiting for you. So tonight, let yourself return. Let the silence rise within you like a tide. Let it wash away the tension in your muscles, the clutter in your mind, the weight in your heart. Let it remind you that beneath all of it, you are whole, you are vast, you are silence itself. Stay here now. Stay in the hush that holds you. Stay until sleep comes, gently and naturally, like a leaf falling into still water, like the night folding you into its endless arms, like silence itself carrying you deeper and deeper into rest. There is a silence that does not wait for you to notice it. It is always here, always present, flowing beneath every sound, beneath every thought, beneath every moment of your life. When you discover it, you realize you have not entered something new. You have simply uncovered what has been constant all along. Most of the time, the noise of the mind covers it. You think silence is absent because you cannot hear it over your own inner storm. But silence is never absent. Even now, as words pass through your awareness, silence is holding them. Even as your heart beats and your breath moves, silence surrounds them. The music of life can only play because silence is the stage. Think of the silence of a night sky. The stars shimmer, the planets wheel, meteors streak across the dark. All of this motion, all of this brilliance rests in silence. The silence does not compete with the light, it completes it. Without the dark quiet, stars would not shine. Without silence, nothing could be seen for what it is. This is true of your life as well. Your joys and sorrows, Your gains and losses, your laughter and tears, all arise within silence. Silence is the backdrop that allows them to be experienced, and silence is what remains when they fade. Imagine now that you are walking in a wide desert. The sand stretches endless, the horizon is clear, the sky blazes with stars. You hear the crunch of your footsteps, the whisper of wind. But beyond those sounds, there is a vastness, an immeasurable quiet that fills the desert, like an invisible ocean. You feel small, but not insignificant. The silence makes you part of the desert itself, as if you too were a grain of sand resting under the infinite night. In moments like this, silence teaches humility. It shows you that your worries are small compared to the endlessness of existence. It reminds you that your life is fleeting and yet precious because it shines briefly in the great quiet of the cosmos. Silence is the teacher that does not lecture, does not demand, but simply reveals. Silence also teaches patience. Everything unfolds in its own time. The seed waits in silence before sprouting. The caterpillar rests in silence before becoming a butterfly. The earth itself spins in silence, carrying us through seasons without hurry. When you rest in silence, you learn this rhythm. You stop demanding that life happen faster. You begin to trust the pace of the universe. Consider the silence of a snowfall. Each flake drifts gently, landing without sound. The world becomes muffled, softened, transformed into a landscape of stillness. In that hush, you feel a purity, a freshness, a reminder that silence cleanses. It does not erase, but it covers the noise long enough for you to remember what is simple and essential. There is also the silence of water. Dive beneath the surface of a lake, and the world above disappears. No voices, no machines, no clocks, only the muffled thrum of your own body, the vast embrace of water surrounding you. This silence is not absence, it is immersion. You are held completely, as though the world itself has wrapped you in its quiet arms. And then there is the silence of fire. Sit beside a fire at night. The flames crackle, the wood hisses, sparks leap. And yet, between each sound, there is a profound stillness. You realize that even fire, with all its energy and movement, depends on silence to be felt fully. Noise cannot exist without silence. They are partners, not enemies. Silence is not fragile. It does not break when sound appears. It does not vanish when life becomes busy. It remains steady and eternal, the ground beneath everything. Your task is not to create it, but to remember it, to return to it, to rest in it. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the silence under your breath. Feel the silence beneath your thoughts. Even as words form, silence surrounds them. Even as emotions rise, silence holds them. This silence is vast enough for everything. It does not reject. It does not resist. It simply allows. And in that allowance, you discover freedom. Freedom is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of silence in the midst of difficulty. When you carry silence within you, the storms of life lose their power. They still come, but they no longer uproot you. They move across your surface like weather across a mountain, while the mountain itself remains unmoved. Imagine sitting in a forest at midnight. The trees stand tall, their trunks dark, their leaves whispering softly. Animals stir quietly in the distance, but deeper than all of it, there is a great silence. It stretches upward through the branches, outward through the roots, inward through your own chest. It does not end, it does not begin, it simply is. Stay there in your mind. Let the silence of the forest merge with the silence within you. Let them become one. Notice how your body loosens, how your thoughts fade, how your heart opens. You are not separate from this silence. You are this silence. This is the truth that silence always offers. You are not the noise you hear. You are not the thoughts you think. You are not the roles you play. You are the vast, quiet awareness beneath it all. Tonight, as you rest, let silence remind you of this truth. Let it gather you, hold you, soothe you. Let it carry you beyond noise, beyond fear, beyond time, into the infinite hush, the eternal stillness, the silence that is not outside you, but is you. Stay here now. Stay in the presence. Stay in the silence. Silence is a companion that never abandons you. It walks beside you in every season, whether or not you notice. It is there in joy, hidden beneath laughter. It is there in sorrow, holding the weight of tears. It is there in ordinary hours, like an invisible friend sitting quietly at the edge of the room. We often think of silence as something far away, something we must travel to find. A mountain peak, a remote cave, a monastery hidden in the forest. But silence does not live only in distant places. It lives here, now, in the space between each thought, in the pause between each breath. It is as close as your own awareness, waiting patiently for you to turn toward it. Consider the silence of listening. When you give someone your full attention without rushing to reply, without preparing your answer, a deep silence opens. It is not empty. It is full of respect, full of presence. And often, this silence speaks louder than any advice you could offer. It says, I am here with you. I hear you. I see you. There is also the silence of understanding. Sometimes words are not needed because what is shared is beyond language. A glance, a touch, a breath held together. These moments are wrapped in silence. And yet they communicate more than whole pages of speech. Silence is the native language of connection. Imagine sitting on the shore of a wide lake at dawn. The water is still, the mist rises, the sky begins to soften into pale colors. There are sounds, yes, the cry of a bird, the ripple of a fish, but what you feel most is the silence holding it all. You feel as if you are seated inside the heartbeat of the world. This kind of silence is not absence, it is intimacy. It draws you closer to life itself. Silence has the power to heal because it asks nothing from you. It does not demand that you be strong. It does not insist that you be cheerful. It allows you to be exactly as you are, and in that allowance, your wounds begin to breathe again. The pressure to perform dissolves, and what is fragile within you is finally safe to rest. Think of silence as a great ocean. Every wave of thought rises and falls upon its surface, but the depths remain undisturbed. When you sink into those depths, you realize you are not the waves. You are the ocean itself, vast, deep, unmoving. This recognition is freedom. Noise can still appear, storms can still rage, but they no longer define you. Now imagine lying in a field beneath a sky thick with stars. The earth is firm beneath you, the heavens stretch endlessly above. The silence here is immense, but it is not cold. It is warm, like a blanket woven of light and darkness together. You breathe it in, you breathe it out, and you feel that you are not a small fragment, but part of the whole fabric of existence. The silence teaches you this truth. You belong. There is also a silence in forgiveness. When you finally release the grip of resentment, when the arguments in your mind stop rehearsing, silence flows in. It does not erase what happened, but it softens it. It clears space for compassion, for peace. Forgiveness is less about words spoken and more about the silence that follows, the deep exhale that says, I no longer need to carry this weight. Silence is a teacher of rhythm. It reminds us that life is not meant to be constant motion. Just as music needs pauses, just as breath needs rests, just as day needs night, your life needs silence. Without it, the song of existence becomes noise. With it, the song finds balance, depth, and beauty. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen for the furthest sound you can hear. Perhaps it is a faint hum in the distance, a car, a bird, the whisper of wind. Now listen for the nearest sound, the rise and fall of your own breath, the beat of your heart, the subtle rustle of fabric. Between those two, the far and the near, notice what holds them both. That vast, unbroken presence is silence. Silence is not fragile. It does not vanish when sound appears. It holds every sound the way the sky holds clouds. The clouds move and shift, but the sky remains. In the same way, silence remains, vast and steady, regardless of what passes through. When you remember this, life becomes lighter. You no longer need to fight every noise, every thought, every feeling. You let them come, you let them go, and through it all, you rest in silence. Tonight, let yourself lean into that rest. Let silence cradle your body like a gentle tide. Let it carry your mind away from busyness. Let it open the space in your heart where peace can breathe again. Stay here. Stay in this vast hush. Stay until sleep comes, softly, naturally, like a bird folding its wings, like a leaf drifting into still water, like silence itself becoming your dream. Silence is not a void to be feared, but a fullness to be embraced. It is the hidden ground beneath every step you take, the invisible thread binding each moment together. Noise comes and goes, silence remains. Thoughts rise and fade, silence endures. If you look closely, you will see that silence is not the opposite of life. It is its foundation. Consider the silence of the night sky. Even as stars burn and galaxies turn, the vast quiet remains. This silence is not empty. It is rich with presence, vast with possibility. It allows the stars to shine, the planets to orbit, the universe to expand. Without silence, none of it could exist. Now think of the silence between two notes of music. Without the pause, the song would collapse into noise. The silence gives meaning to the sound. It shapes it, frames it, lets it breathe. So too in your life, the pauses matter. The stillness between actions, the quiet between words, the rest between efforts. These are not wasted moments. They are the heart of rhythm itself. Imagine yourself walking through a forest in winter. Snow covers the ground, muffling every sound. The trees stand tall and bare, their branches etched against a pale sky. Every footstep is softened, every breath visible in the cold air. The silence here is pure, cleansing. It washes over you, stripping away the clutter of thought, reminding you of the simplicity at the core of existence. Silence does not demand effort. It does not require you to force anything away. It asks only that you stop clinging, that you allow the noise to pass through without grabbing it, without chasing it. When you release your grip, silence is revealed. It was never gone. It was only hidden beneath your grasping. There is a silence in compassion. When you truly sit with another's pain, without rushing to fix it, without trying to fill the space with explanations, you enter a holy hush. That silence is presence. It is love without conditions. It is the steady ground that allows suffering to breathe, and in that breathing, to begin healing. There's a silence in awe. Stand before a mountain, an ocean, a star-filled sky, and notice how words fall away. The mind quiets, the body stills. In awe, silence arrives naturally, as if the immensity of beauty demands reverence, demands space. This silence is not forced. It is born from wonder. There is also a silence in surrender. When you finally stop struggling against what is, when you release the need to control, silence enters, not as defeat, but as freedom. It is the silence of exhaling after holding your breath too long, the silence of laying down a heavy load, the silence of finally allowing yourself to rest. Picture yourself floating in a calm sea under a full moon. The water holds you, the sky expands above you, and all around is quiet. There are sounds, yes, the lap of waves, the distant call of a bird, but the deeper experience is silence. You are carried. You are safe. You are part of the vast stillness that has always been here. This is the gift of silence. It dissolves separation. In silence, you realize you are not apart from life, not an isolated fragment. You are woven into the whole, part of the same fabric as stars and rivers, trees and wind. Silence whispers, you belong. Close your eyes now. Feel the silence in your breath. Feel the pause between inhale and exhale. Stay there. That pause is not empty. It is alive. It is the doorway into the vast quiet that holds everything. Step through it gently. Step through it again and again. Each time you do, you return home. The world will always have noise. The mind will always have thoughts. But silence is larger. It is the sky in which clouds drift, the oceans in which waves rise and fall. It is the presence that holds everything without being disturbed. Tonight, let silence hold you. Let it soften the tightness in your chest. Let it release the weight from your shoulders. Let it gather your scattered thoughts into its wide embrace. Here, you do not need to achieve. Here, you do not need to prove. Here, you are enough. Stay in that truth. Stay until sleep carries you gently, like a leaf drifting on still water, like a star sinking into dawn, like silence itself leading you deeper into rest. There is a silence that lives inside every question. Before the answer forms, before the words are spoken, there is a hush. That hush is fertile, alive with possibility. Every truth you have ever learned, every insight that has ever shifted your path, was born first in that silence. This shows us something important. Silence is not the absence of meaning, but the ground from which meaning grows. When you allow silence, you give space for wisdom to rise. When you rush to fill it, you block the very opening that could have revealed something deeper. Think of a teacher who pauses before speaking. The room waits. In that waiting, attention gathers, hearts open, minds clear. The pause itself is teaching. The silence itself is the lesson. Now think of a conversation between two friends. One speaks of their struggles, the other listens. There is a silence after the words, a silence of presence, a silence that says, I am with you. You do not have to carry this alone. That silence does more healing than any clever phrase. There is a silence in nature that holds the same quality. Walk through a meadow at twilight and notice how the air feels thick with stillness. The birds have quieted, the wind softens, the earth seems to be waiting. That waiting is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the earth listening to itself, reminding you to do the same. Imagine standing beside a great waterfall. The roar is deafening, water pounding into stone, mist rising into air. But step back, far enough to see the whole cascade, and suddenly you notice the greater silence holding even this thunder. You realize that silence is not the absence of sound, but the vastness that contains it. The silence is always larger. This truth lives in your own life. Your thoughts may roar, your emotions may crash, your fears may thunder, but beneath it all, silence remains. It does not compete. It does not resist. It simply holds. And in that holding, it steadies you. Silence is also the birthplace of creativity. Every poem, every song, every painting, every invention begins in quiet. The mind grows still, the heart listens, and from that stillness something new emerges. Without silence, imagination has no room to breathe. Without silence, nothing original can rise. Consider the silence of a blank page. At first, it may feel intimidating, as if demanding you to fill it. But if you look deeper, it is generous. It is offering you possibility, offering you freedom. Every masterpiece was once a silence waiting to be spoken. There is also a silence of reverence. Stand before something vast, a mountain, a temple, a newborn child, and notice how words fall away. The mind recognizes it cannot contain the immensity, so it grows quiet. This silence is awe. It is the soul bowing before mystery. In your own life, reverence can happen anywhere. It can happen in a sunrise glimpsed through a window, in the gentle hand of someone you love, in the sudden awareness that you are alive right now. These moments are always accompanied by silence, because silence is the natural response to wonder. Silence teaches us to live differently. Noise drives us outward, chasing, comparing, performing. Silence draws us inward, reminding us that we are already whole. Noise scatters. Silence gathers. Noise distracts. Silence reveals. Noise is restless. Silence is home. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice the sounds around you, perhaps distant voices, the hum of machines, the stir of air. Now notice what holds those sounds, the wide presence beneath them. That presence is silence. Even if the sounds grow louder, silence remains vast enough to contain them. You are not seeking silence outside. You are resting in the silence that is already here. Feel it in your breath. The inhale rises, the exhale falls, and between them is a pause. Stay in that pause. It is not empty. It is alive, pulsing with presence. Every pause is an invitation to return, to remember, to rest. Imagine drifting in space, weightless, surrounded by stars. No ground, no horizon, only the vast dark stretching endlessly. You might expect it to feel lonely, but instead, the silence feels full. It is communion, not absence. It is the universe itself breathing quietly, and you breathing with it. This cosmic silence is no different from the silence within you. They are the same. The stillness in your chest and the stillness between galaxies are not separate. They are reflections of the same truth. Silence is the essence of being. Tonight, as you close your eyes, let yourself fall into that truth. Let silence hold the weight of your day. Let it soften your thoughts, loosen your body, cradle your heart. You do not have to strive. You do not have to prove. You only have to rest in what has always been here. Stay here. Stay in the hush that holds all things. Stay until sleep comes, gently and naturally, like a tide rising around you, like stars fading into dawn, like silence itself carrying you deeper into rest. Silence has many doors, and each one opens into a different room of the soul. Some doors are wide and bright, like the hush of a sunrise spreading across the sky. Others are narrow and hidden, like the quiet that arrives after tears. But whichever door you enter, silence always leads you back to the same place. Presence. Presence is the heart of silence. It is the simple, steady awareness of being here. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not elsewhere. Here. Noise tries to drag you away, scattering your mind into fragments. Silence gathers those fragments back into wholeness. It whispers, "You are not lost. You are already home." Imagine sitting at the edge of a meadow in the evening. The air cools, the light fades, the insects hum softly. If you listen carefully, you hear not only the sounds, but also the great quiet that holds them. That quiet is like a vast bowl, and every sound rests gently within it. The bowl does not crack, does not overflow, no matter how much it holds. Silence is strong like that. Silence is also tender. It arrives when a child curls into sleep, when a hand brushes yours, when you gaze at someone you love and realize words are unnecessary. These tender silences remind you that love does not always need sound. Love needs presence, and silence is its purest form. There is a silence of courage. It happens when you choose not to speak words that would wound, even though anger tempts you. It happens when you sit with your fear instead of running from it. It happens when you stand before the unknown, trembling, yet quiet enough to listen. This silence is not weakness. It is strength made gentle. It is the power of restraint, the wisdom of patience. There is a silence of wonder. Climb a mountain, look out at the sweep of valleys, the rivers winding like silver threads, the sky stretching farther than you can see. You open your mouth, but no words come. The world is too vast, too beautiful, too alive. In that moment, silence is reverence. It is the soul bowing to what it cannot grasp. Now think of the silence of endings. When a story closes, when a friendship fades, when a life departs. At first, the silence feels unbearable, like a door slammed shut. But if you stay with it, If you allow it, the silence softens. It becomes memory. It becomes gratitude. It becomes love carried forward. Endings do not erase presence, they deepen it. They remind you that what mattered still echoes in the quiet. There is also the silence of beginnings, the hush before a seed sprouts, before an artist touches the canvas, before the first note of a song. This silence is filled with possibility. It vibrates with anticipation. It is the breath the universe takes before speaking. You can find this same silence inside yourself. Before you make a choice, before you step forward, before you speak, there is a pause. That pause is not nothing. It is guidance. If you listen closely, you may hear what your deeper self is asking, what your heart already knows. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice your breath, rising, falling. Between them, the pause. Stay there. It is small, but it is infinite. That pause is the doorway into silence. It is the same silence that holds the stars, the same silence that carries the sea, the same silence that waits beneath your own thoughts. Silence is not fragile. It does not vanish when sound appears. It holds sound the way the sky holds clouds, the way the earth holds rivers. Noise is temporary. Silence is eternal. Imagine lying on your back in a field at midnight. The grass is cool, the air clear, the heavens scattered with constellations. Around you, crickets sing, a breeze stirs, the world breathes. But deeper than all of it, you feel the vast silence stretching outward, stretching inward, without end. You are not outside this silence. You are inside it, made of it, carried by it. Stay here. Let the silence cradle you. Let it soften the noise in your mind. Let it remind you that you are not the storms, not the chatter, not the endless doing. You are the presence beneath it all. You are the silence itself. Tonight, let this silence become your bed, your pillow, your blanket. Rest in it as you would in the arms of someone who loves you unconditionally. Let it dissolve the weight of the day, loosen the grip of worry, open the gates of rest. Stay until sleep comes. Stay until dreams carry you. Stay until morning rises, and know that even then, silence will remain, unchanged, eternal, infinite, the quiet song that has always been yours. Silence is the oldest companion of life. Before the first word was spoken, before the first song was sung, silence was already here. It held the earth when it was still cooling. It held the stars as they first ignited. It held every breath of every creature that ever lived. When you listen to silence, you are listening to something ancient, something timeless, something that remembers. We often think of silence as fragile, easily broken. But the truth is the opposite. Silence cannot be broken. A noise may rise, but it rises within silence. A voice may shout, but it is carried on the back of silence. Sound does not end silence. It proves it. Just as every cloud reveals the sky, every sound reveals the silence that holds it. Consider the silence of the ocean. Stand at the shore and hear the waves, the crash, the foam, the endless motion. But listen more deeply. Beneath the rhythm of the surf, there is a deeper stillness, the steady hush that does not change. The waves are temporary. The silence is eternal. So too with your own life. Your thoughts and emotions are waves, but you are the silence beneath them, steady and vast. Imagine yourself sitting by a fire at night. The flames dance, sparks leap, logs crackle. There is sound, yes, but what you feel most is the silence between the crackles, the vast stillness holding the fire's song. This is what silence does. It gives meaning to every sound, depth to every moment. Without it, life is noise. With it, life is music. Silence is also the ground of truth. When the world grows loud with opinions and arguments, when everyone shouts to be heard, truth waits quietly in silence. It does not fight to be noticed. It does not push or pull. It simply is patient and unchanging. If you want to hear truth, you must step into silence, not to find new words, but to remember what has always been clear. There is a silence in kindness. When you offer someone your presence without judgment, when you sit with them in their pain, when you give without expectation, silence fills the space. It is not a silence of emptiness, but of fullness, the fullness of love. Sometimes the most healing gift you can give is not advice, not action, but quiet companionship. Silence is the language of care. There is a silence in trust. When you let life unfold without forcing it, when you allow the unknown to carry you, you enter a profound hush. This silence is spacious. It holds uncertainty without fear. It holds change without resistance. It says, you do not need to control everything. You are already carried. Now close your eyes. Notice your breath. Each inhale rises, each exhale falls, and between them is a pause. Stay in that pause. That pause is not empty. It is alive. It is the doorway into silence. Step through it gently. Feel how the mind loosens, how the heart softens, how the body begins to rest. Imagine lying in a meadow beneath a wide night sky. The grass cool beneath you, the stars endless above. There are small sounds, the chirp of crickets, the sigh of wind, but around them all stretches a great silence. It wraps around you, holds you, breathes with you. In that moment, you realize you are not a small fragment. You are part of the vast stillness itself. Silence is not far away. It is not hidden in mountains or deserts alone. It is here, now, in this very breath. It is the background of your thoughts, the depth of your heart, the essence of your being. You do not need to travel to find it. You only need to notice. And when you notice, life changes. Noise loses its power. Fear loosens its grip. The frantic rush of time slows. You begin to live in rhythm with silence, to move more gently, to listen more deeply, to love more fully. Tonight, let silence gather you into its arms. Let it hold the weight of your day. Let it soothe the ache in your body, the restlessness in your mind, the longing in your heart. You do not have to fight. You do not have to strive. You only have to rest in the silence that has always been here. Stay in this hush. Stay until sleep comes, like a tide rising, like stars fading into dawn, like silence itself carrying you home. There is a silence that waits inside every breath you take. It is small, almost invisible, yet it holds the secret of peace. When you inhale, the world enters you. When you exhale, you return yourself to the world. And in the tiny pause between, silence rests, unmoving, eternal, infinite. This silence is always here, but most of the time you rush past it. You race from thought to thought, from task to task, from fear to desire. You rarely notice the doorway that opens with every breath. But when you do, when you pause long enough to feel the stillness, everything changes. The world slows, the heart softens, the mind grows clear. Silence is not something you create. It is not something you add to life. It is what remains when you stop filling every moment with noise. It is already here, beneath the chatter, beneath the motion, beneath the striving. You do not need to earn it. You only need to remember it. Think of the silence of a vast desert. The sand stretches endlessly. The horizon glows with heat. The wind moves gently. The quiet is not empty. It is full of presence. It teaches you that silence is not lack. It is abundance. Every grain of sand, every shimmer of light, every shift of air exists more vividly because of silence. Now imagine the silence of a snowfall. The flakes drift slowly, each one unique, each one soft. They land without sound, and soon the world is covered in white. Noise is muffled, shapes are softened, and you feel as if you are walking inside a dream. This silence is not absence. It is transformation. It takes the familiar and makes it new, reminding you that stillness can change the way you see everything. There is also the silence of a deep forest. Walk among the trees, and you will hear sounds: the rustle of leaves, the call of birds, the crack of twigs underfoot. But beneath those sounds lies a deeper hush. It is the silence of centuries, the silence of roots and soil and endless growth. This silence is not fragile. It is steady, patient, enduring. It shows you what it means to belong to something greater than yourself. Silence is a teacher, but it does not lecture. It teaches by presence, by allowing, by holding. It shows you that life is not about constant noise, constant effort, constant movement. Life is also about pauses, about rests, about returning again and again to the quiet ground beneath it all. There is a silence of love, not the loud declarations, not the dramatic gestures, but the quiet of simply being together. Two people sitting side by side, saying nothing, yet feeling everything. This silence speaks more clearly than words. It says, I am here, you are here, that is enough. There is a silence of grief. When someone you love is gone, words fail. The silence feels heavy, unbearable, but over time that silence shifts. It becomes memory. It becomes presence in absence. It becomes love that continues quietly without needing to be spoken. There is a silence of awe. Stand before a mountain, an ocean, a star-filled sky, and notice how your mind falls still. The immensity demands reverence. The silence comes naturally, like a bow of the heart. This silence is wonder, and wonder is one of the purest languages of the soul. Close your eyes now. Feel the silence in your own body. The breath moves, the heart beats, the blood flows. But beneath all of it, there is a stillness. That stillness is you, not the roles you play, not the thoughts you think, not the emotions you carry. The silence is your essence, untouched, eternal, infinite. Imagine lying in a meadow under the stars. The air is cool, the grass soft, the heavens endless above. You do not need to move, do not need to speak. You only need to rest, to breathe, to notice. The silence around you and the silence within you are the same. They merge until there is no boundary, until you realize you are not separate from the quiet. You are part of it. Silence heals because it holds everything without resistance. It does not judge. It does not push away. It does not demand. It simply allows. And in that allowance, what is wounded begins to breathe. What is broken begins to mend. Tonight, let silence hold you. Let it take the weight from your shoulders, the noise from your mind, the ache from your heart. You do not need to strive anymore. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to rest in what has always been here. Stay in the hush. Stay in the stillness. Stay in the silence that has no end. And when sleep comes, let it be another form of silence, deep, soft, eternal, carrying you gently into the night. Silence has been with you from the very beginning. Before you spoke your first word, before you opened your eyes to the world, you rested in silence. It held you gently, like a cradle woven from eternity. And when the final breath of your life comes, silence will be there too, steady, welcoming, endless. In truth, silence is not a visitor. It is the ground you walk upon, the air you breathe, the essence of what you are. Throughout this journey, you have met silence in many forms. The silence of dawn, when the world awakens with promise. The silence of dusk, when the day exhales and softens. The silence of mountains, vast and unmoving. The silence of oceans, deep and eternal. The silence of fire, the silence of snow, the silence of love, the silence of loss. Each has taught you something different. Each has shown you that silence is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is life itself. Silence is the mother of rhythm. Without it, music collapses into noise. Without it, speech loses meaning. Without it, thought has no shape. Silence frames everything, giving each moment its depth. You live inside this rhythm, whether you notice it or not. Every heartbeat, every breath, every pause between words is silence speaking. Consider now the silence of trust. When you release the grip of control, when you let life carry you, silence blossoms. This silence does not ask for certainty. It asks only for surrender. It whispers, "You are held. You are part of something larger. You do not need to know everything to rest." There is also the silence of forgiveness. It is the hush that arrives when resentment finally falls away, when the storms of anger dissolve. In that quiet, the heart feels light again. It does not mean forgetting. It means resting in peace. It means allowing love to flow again where bitterness once stood. Forgiveness is less about words spoken and more about the silence that follows, the silence that says, "I have laid this burden down." Silence is present in every ending. When the music fades, when the story closes, when the day is done, silence remains. But endings are not empty. They are thresholds. They carry you into new beginnings. Silence is the bridge, steady beneath your feet, carrying you across. Imagine lying by a river at night. The water moves, whispering against the stones. The moon glows above, scattering silver across the surface. You listen, not only to the sound of the river, but to the great hush that holds it. The river flows within silence, and you too flow within it. Silence heals because it accepts everything. It does not resist your joy. It does not reject your sorrow. It holds your fears, your hopes, your memories, your dreams. It does not demand that you be different. It allows you to be exactly as you are. And in that allowance, transformation begins. Think of silence as a mirror. Whatever comes before it is reflected clearly, no distortion, no judgment. Your laughter appears, and silence holds it. Your tears appear, and silence holds them too. Your fears, your love, your longing, all are reflected in silence. And slowly you realize you are not the passing reflections. You are the mirror itself. You are the silence. Close your eyes now. Feel the silence beneath your breath. Feel the stillness behind your thoughts. Notice how vast it is, how steady it is, how unchanging it is. This silence has always been here. It will always be here. You do not have to create it. You only have to remember it. Imagine floating through space, surrounded by stars. The galaxies turn slowly, vast spirals of light upon the dark canvas. No sound reaches you, yet you do not feel alone. The silence is alive, full of presence, full of mystery. It holds you, connects you, reminds you, you are part of this endlessness. Now imagine returning to your own heart. The silence there is no different. It is the same silence that holds galaxies, the same silence that carries oceans, the same silence that waits in every breath. There is no separation. The silence within and the silence beyond are one. This is the final truth that silence teaches. You are not apart. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are the vast quiet itself, eternal and whole. Everything else, thoughts, fears, joys, stories, comes and goes. But silence remains, and silence is you. So tonight, rest in that knowing. Rest in the infinite sound of stillness. Let silence cradle your body, soften your mind, open your heart. Let it dissolve the weight of the day, loosen the grip of worry, carry you gently into peace. You do not need to strive. You do not need to prove. You only need to rest in what has always been here. Stay here. Stay in silence. Stay until sleep comes, soft and natural, like a tide rising, like stars fading into dawn, like silence itself carrying you home.